one area, but everyone like you and me. Dr. King believed that when people come together to make changes, our community can be stronger. This does not mean we wish it to be. Love community means we have to change. As a kid, I want to be in a good community, but what does that look like? How can we take care of ourselves and others? Number one, be friendly. Say hello to others. Smile more than you frown. Try to be happy instead of mad. Number two, clean your neighborhoods. This means you care. I've helped my dad in the yard. My teacher talks to us about not littering and more. I even see my neighbors and family helping to clean my community clean. Number three, be helpful and just be a good person. People should be treated equal and fair, not because of how they look or where they live. That was not part of Dr. King's dream. Number four, in Milwaukee, we don't need crazy drivers who do not care about others. We need safe drivers that will help our community. Number five, go to school, but have good schools for kids like me. It makes us want to learn. Shout out to MCP and all the other good schools in our community. It's all about change so the world can be a better place. We can have a healthy community. How? With me, you, and you. We should honor what Dr. King wanted, to have a beloved community. Change your souls, change your lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. That was spectacular. Dr. King is looking down in appreciation at your challenge to all of us. Hello, I'm Carrie Wall, President and CEO of the YMCA Metropolitan Milwaukee, that was founded in our city in 1858 and has served our community for 164 years. On behalf of the Board of Directors, members, staff, and program participants, welcome. I first want to thank all of our sponsors because the event would not be possible without your commitment to celebrating this important day. And a special thanks to Advocate Aurora Health for not only being the presenting sponsor, but also contributing valuable time and resources to the planning of today's event. One of our Y's core values is inclusion, and we need to do more to make value-based learning for every program participant, volunteer, and staff member a lived reality. The Y was historically, and now still is, and a network of interconnected system of people and spaces. We are united by a common purpose, to strengthen communities. That premise is inclusive of all of our branches, program sites, staff, volunteers, partner organizations, donors, and events like this one. For the past 25 years, the Y has convened government officials, business leaders, nonprofit representatives, and the public to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and celebrate the national holiday in his name. While you are all familiar with our morning main celebration, for the past 6 years, the Y has also sponsored, in the afternoon of Martin Luther King Day, a chance for teens to host their own meaningful activity. Our Youth Engaged event provides an opportunity for youth to talk about what's important in their neighborhoods, throughout Milwaukee, and around the world without judgment. In addition, beginning last year, we sponsored Deliberate Dialogues, which offers community leaders throughout the week a chance to talk about health, safety, the workforce, and the state of education in our community, and to propose solutions. Everyone, no matter their background, has contributions to share when given the chance. True learning is not top-down, but ground-out and strength-based. Each day, the Y lives out its promise to serve people regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, or any dimension of diversity. We continually evaluate best practices, trainings, and Y programs through a lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our ambition is to create safe and welcoming spaces which truly celebrate diversity. Our staff and volunteers reflect the richness of the communities we serve and are culturally competent because representation matters. We recently completed a process we called our Strategic Plan Refresh, which for the next 3 years will guide and define our work and our impact. Equity is the overarching principle that is the focus for everything we do. Ultimately, the Strategic Plan Refresh documents of how we will bring this community together, interconnected places and people around common goals. In that plan, we outline our vision for growing our youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility programs, and serving new communities through partnerships. The new initiatives, along with our existing centers and programs, will create a Milwaukee community we all want to live in. However, we encounter a persistent barrier to address the historical inequities in our community: access. We believe expanding access for all will only lead to more enriching experiences. Our Y team at every level, even in a COVID world, always strives to become an anti-racist, multicultural organization. We are a welcoming organization that values the contributions of all with a bold intent to build bridges and close divides. Our call to action is for each of us on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day throughout the year to transform communities and to guide youth to be tomorrow's change makers. Let's each of us celebrate his vision for a beloved community and make it real life priority. The Y is here for all of us in metropolitan Milwaukee, and we firmly believe we are stronger together. 2 years ago, in conversations with our lead sponsor, Advocate Aurora Health, we decided to refresh our call to action. And we co-created a focus on social determinants of health. This year, once again, our week-long celebration addresses community health, community safety, food insecurities, and economic mobility, all with that lens of equity. I now have the great pleasure of introducing a leading voice nationally on healthcare transformation and integration, national healthcare reform, patient safety, and fighting for healthcare providers with a commitment to serving communities. Let's take a moment and hear from Jim Skogsberg, the President and CEO of Advocate Aurora Health.
Good morning. I'm Jim Skogsberg, President and CEO of Advocate Aurora Health. It's our great pleasure to once again serve as this year's presenting sponsor for the 25th Annual YMCA of Metro Milwaukee's Dr. King Celebration Breakfast and Week of Engagement. While we wish we could be together in person, it's important we play it safe and take every precaution to end this pandemic. But I'm glad we're able to gather virtually to honor Dr. King's legacy and the great work of the YMCA. Today, we'll hear from some of our future leaders as they bring to life this year's theme. In Dr. King's words, our goal is to create a beloved community, and this will require a qualitative change in our souls as well as a quantitative change in our lives. Like each of you, we take this powerful sentiment to heart at Advocate Aurora Health. We are dedicated to building health equity, and we are working hard at it every day to ensure that all people have the opportunity to live well. And that starts with the community. I'm reminded of a passage from the book of Proverbs. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. There's no change, qualitative or quantitative, without the power of embracing people, our family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues. Leaning on one another when we need it, reminding each other we can make a difference. These last couple of years have been far from easy. The obstacles at times have tested our resolve. But it's also reinforced that together we can overcome the hardest trials and tribulations. And I'm confident that as a community, we will persevere. There will no doubt be brighter days ahead. This week is full of enriching and inspiring conversations around addressing health equity and social determinants of health. I hope each of you enjoy your time and walk away from this program feeling a renewed sense of purpose and passion to be a part of the community and to lift up Milwaukee. Thanks again for the opportunity to welcome you to what I know will be an amazing event.
Throughout the pandemic, the Y has made the health and safety of our staff, members, program participants, volunteers, and in this case, our guests our highest priority. Y has closely observed the COVID trends in Milwaukee and around the country, and after meeting with our healthcare partners, Y leaders made the hard decision to hold the 25th Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration, virtual-only format, given the steep increases, potential impact on workers and the public. The Y planning team always knew that a change might be necessary if a COVID surge occurred, and we're very much looking forward to gathering in person next year at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Here's a short video from Dominique Ortiz, our host sponsor, Potawatomi Hotel and Casino.
Good morning. My name is Dominic Ortiz, CEO and General Manager of Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. This morning, our event center was supposed to be filled with energy, excitement, inspiration, and you. Hundreds of our friends celebrating the life of a true American hero, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's unfortunate we're not together this morning, but it doesn't mean that we can't honor the spirit of a man whose message of peace, equality, and togetherness resonates with us today. While we're all aware of his crusade for social justice and equality for African Americans, his work went far beyond and touched the lives of all of us, including Native Americans. He spoke out against the injustices imposed upon Native Americans from the nation's birth to the day of his untimely death. A sizable contingent of Native Americans were in attendance to hear King's iconic words at the 1963 March on Washington. And in the late 1950s, King assisted the Porch Band of Creek Indians in southern Alabama desegregate schools. The help he extended to indigenous people often goes unrecognized. He was truly a fierce advocate for Native Americans and their fight for social justice. We are humbled as a business to once again sponsor today's event, as well as this week's virtual deliberate dialogue session scheduled over the lunch hour between Tuesday and Friday. In closing, while today we can't be together, we look forward to sharing breakfast and celebrating with you in 2023 here at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino.
I would now like to invite you to hear a few remarks from Governor Tony Evers.
Hey folks, Governor Tony Evers here, and it's an honor to be with you today for the YMCA Metropolitan Milwaukee's 25th Annual MLK Day celebration. Today we remember the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and celebrate his incredible life and legacy while recognizing the work still left to do in realizing his dream and vision for our country. Though the last few years have been tough and shined a new light on the many injustices facing our state and nation today, they've also inspired our communities to come together, united in a fight for a more just and equitable future. And we've heard Dr. King's words as a drumbeat in our hearts and our minds: injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This is what fueled Dr. King's belief in a beloved community where every person has the same opportunity to live a full and healthy life, because in order for our state and nation to thrive, every community has to work together. These are values we share, and they're values that drive the work we do each day. Whether it's by investing in measures to address our persistent health disparities, fully funding our schools in every zip code, or connecting the dots between access to reliable, affordable internet and economic mobility, we can combat systemic inequities, advance racial justice, and build the sort of future we all want to see for our state. One that is more just, more equitable, and where every family and every kid can thrive. That's why I'm proud to be here today to show my support for the YMCA of Metropolitan Milwaukee and all they do to support the creativity, intelligence, and prosperity of our kids. We're also proud of all the local community members and organizations being recognized today for their work in service to building strong communities. Wisconsin's future will be brighter, and we will find ourselves another step closer to the beloved community because all of you and the example you set. So with that, thank you for having me, and have a great rest of your celebration.
Next, we have remarks from Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson and Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley.
Hi, I'm Mayor Cavalier Johnson, and I'm happy to join everyone virtually for the YMCA of Metropolitan Milwaukee's 25th Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. This year's celebration focuses on the theme of beloved community, a very important part of Dr. King's work. The King Center, established in 1986 by Dr. King's late wife, Ms. Coretta Scott King, has a wealth of information about Dr. King's work and his advancement of the beloved community. Dr. King did not create the term, but was a member of the Fellowship of Reconciliation, an interfaith peace and justice organization founded by philosopher and theologian Josiah Royce. the first to speak of it. Dr. King believed the beloved community could one day be a reality, and that this global vision could be made possible through community adoption of nonviolent behavior. In the beloved community, poverty, hunger, homelessness, they're all eliminated, as are racism and prejudice. In its place, there's equity, there's love, and there's togetherness. Dr. King acknowledged that conflict would be around so long as humans exist. Our goal should not be to eliminate it altogether, but rather to change the way that we approach conflict. Rather than choose violence, people choose nonviolence and reconciliation. Dr. King saw the actions of nonviolent boycotts to be a way to achieve the beloved community. They were the process of transforming opponents into friends and changing perceptions on how people could choose to interact with one another. So how are we doing today in advancing Dr. King's work to create a more connected, more loving community? Since Dr. King's death in 1968, much has been done to advance equality and overcome prejudice, but still so much work remains. The ability to love one's opponent remains a challenge in our polarized world. And we've yet to make poverty, hunger, and homelessness, as well as racism, disappear. How do we refocus our efforts towards Dr. King's vision? First, it's essential that each one of us sees ourselves as part of the community. We have shared responsibilities in a community, shared responsibilities of nonviolence, of respect, and of action. We must look beyond the self-focus that is too common in our society. We must appreciate, as Dr. King did, the great power of collective, nonviolent action. In a beloved community, we must have a responsibility to do more than simply point out the challenges we face. Together, we have to move forward with solutions. We have to embrace our individual roles in reaching solutions through nonviolence. Perhaps most importantly, we must set our minds and our hearts to reach the beloved community. Let us reflect on our emotions and on our spirit. Through our nonviolent actions, we are the living legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
People often talk about what would it take to engage citizens and strengthen neighborhoods. And we really need everybody. We need everybody. And those who are here today, but also those who are not, to join together in positive change. And so I want to start by asking the audience 3 reflective questions. 1, over the past year, has the general public finally realized that racial injustice exists in today's America? 2, what can each of us do to address the injustices that is present in our communities? And 3, what should we include in our plan to build the beloved community? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was committed to achieving social justice, equity, and freedom of opportunity for all in our country. And only by working right alongside one another can we make a difference in both the health and prosperity of others. And only by working right alongside one another can we see the glimpses of the beloved community across Milwaukee County in 2022. But without everyone's help, this goal cannot be achieved. We need many partners to work side by side in pursuit of both healthier communities and better life outcomes for everyone. So please join me, the Y, and all of those present today to show others the way towards better solutions, because today's reality is not nearly enough. When Dr. King was alive, the beloved community was only a dream. But now we have the opportunity to ensure that it becomes a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the leaders of our community. This year's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Spoken Word Contest is once again sponsored by the Northwestern Mutual Foundation. And youth will receive an Apple iPad thanks to the Milwaukee chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, which was Dr. King's fraternity. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity's goal is to partner with nonprofit and corporate entities to leverage social capital and to advocate for political, economic, and social reform. Now, I would like to introduce Julia Smith, Northwestern Mutual's African American Employee Resource Group Chair, to tell us more about the Spoken Word Contest and present this year's Spoken Word Contest winners.
Northwestern Mutual is pleased to sponsor the Spoken Word Contest. This year's theme is inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote, "Our goal is to create a beloved community, and this will require a qualitative change in our souls as well as a quantitative change in our lives. This theme was inspiring to so many students who submitted well-written entries. The 3 winners were chosen based on the content of their message and their overall commitment to diversity and equity. The messages regarding change all reflect the need to first envision the change that you want to see, and then ask yourself, what can I do to embody and inspire change? Each winner addressed this and reminds us how Dr. King's message is still relevant after nearly 60 years. They are a blessing to our community and represent our abiding hope for the future. I also want to thank the Milwaukee Bucks and the Milwaukee Brewers for giving each contest entrant 2 tickets for both a student and a parent to attend an upcoming event. We are proud to partner with the YMCA for the Spoken Word Contest. Congratulations to our winners, and we look forward to the extraordinary contributions that you will make to our communities. I will now like to introduce Darby Kane, the middle school award winner.
Hi, I'm Darby Kane, and this is my piece, Change Within the Community Starts With Us. He who helps passively accepts evil is as much involved with it as he who helps perpetuate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is cooperating it. End quote, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Have you ever tried to reach out in others in need? This question is a question that people have a hard time truly answering because we always want to convince ourselves that we are doing the most, and we try as hard as we can to reach out to jeopardized communities. Let me ask you a question. Have you looked at yourself and said, what am I doing wrong? Or what can I do to help marginalized communities? Have you ever had an injustice happen to you that hurt you, but no one seemed to care about it? Think about this today. People are so quick to sign petitions and talk about injustices, but never really look at themselves and say, what am I doing wrong? Or what am I doing to hurt someone? Or even, what am I standing up for? Everyone wants to do what's comfortable and what is not unpopular. MLK made his voice heard, and he didn't care what was unpopular or wasn't liked. I know sometimes I don't speak up if I think something is wrong because it's comfortable and I want people to like me. I hide behind a mask and blame everyone else for things around me. I rarely take the time to look at myself. I know it's easy to judge and blame everyone else for the world's problems, but you can't change people. But you can change your words and your actions. We must first start within ourselves for change. As MLK once stated, I must confess, I'm not afraid of the word tension. There is a type of constructive, nonviolent tension which is necessary for growth. I have dyslexia, ADD, and sensory processing disorder. 1 in 5 students are dyslexic, and more than 70% go undetected. The worst part about American schools is the place where you grow up determines how good of an education you receive. 21% of Americans are illiterate. This is very concerning. As MLK once stated, the truth about American schools, by and large, do not know how to teach nor frequently what to teach. The ineffectiveness of teaching reading skills to young people, whether white or black, rich or poor, strongly indicates foundations in government for spending funds effectively. My family and I serve at a food bank, St. Ben's in Milwaukee, and not as many people are coming in due to COVID, but the homelessness rate is increasing, so there are more unfed people. In MLK's words, there is nothing new about poverty. What is new is that we have new techniques and resources to get rid of poverty. The real question is whether we'll have the will, end quote. This quote still stands true today, even more so. Healthcare is very expensive and it's essential, but many jobs don't offer it, or what they do offer isn't good and is expensive. I'm not very educated in this area. The Equality of Human Rights Commission found 1 in 9 women lose their job due to pregnancy, and 1 in 4 women only get 2 weeks maternity leave, and at least 6 to 12 is recommended. It is as women are being punished for having children. I feel like I'm seen less than my male peers, and this really upsets me. When I say something, I'm being emotional or looking for attention or stop trying to be different. And I'm sick of being belittled by my genders. Even girls say mean things because they want to fit and be liked. I'm sorry. I'm so sick of dress codes, and there's barely any rules against boys. I'm so sorry that my legs are so distracting. I'm going to be talking about sexual assault, so slight trigger warning. 1 in 10 girls get catcalled before their 11th birthday, and 71% of women have undergone harassment by men. Statistics on sexual assault from the Department of Justice suggest that over 1.5 million women are raped and or physically assaulted annually, and that is only the reported cases. According to the 1 in 5 women have experienced sexual assault, and this information is appalling and sickening. The reason that I'm not talking much about racism is that I've never experienced it firsthand, but I do stand in solidarity with people that do. It's not my issue to speak on, but it is a privilege for me to say that. And I agree with MLK's words. We must not see the evils, we must see how now that these evils of racism, economic exploitation, and malarism are tied together. And you can't get rid of one without getting rid of the other. End quote. We can't just do what's comfortable anymore if we want change. Most of the time I watch from afar and think, that sucks, but never do anything about it. Each summer I attend YMCA Camp Minneconne, and it has played a big role in me learning how to express myself and stand up for what's right. I wish we all had a place like Minneconne, but by writing this, I hope I can reach someone such as myself, because everyone needs a wake-up call. And MLK's words, a social movement is one that merely moves people is a revolt. A movement that changes both people and institutions is a revolution, end quote. Let's make our voices heard and stand up for what we believe in. Let's do one little thing every day that challenges us. So today I challenge you, if you feel something is unjust, say it and see how the world changes around you. Your words matter, even if it's one little thing, it makes a difference. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent on things that matter. End quote, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Our biggest enemy is ourselves, so what is holding us back from changing the world?
So much thoughtfulness coming from our middle schools. Congratulations, Darby. It's now time for the Fredert Healthy Living Award. To present this award, please welcome ANDRÉS Gonzalez, Vice President, Chief Diversity Officer at Fredert and Medical College of Wisconsin.
I am ANDRÉS Gonzalez, Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer of Fredert Health. I am also a member of the YMCA's Board of Directors and the Chair of the WISE Social Responsibility Committee. It is my pleasure to introduce the winner of the 2022 Fredert and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network's Social Responsibility Award. This award highlights a nonprofit advancing diversity, inclusion, and equity in our community. This year's award goes to the Ability Center. The Ability Center's mission and vision align with our health network's commitment to advancing the health of the diverse communities we serve. Their mission is to provide people impacted by disabilities with a daily opportunity to be fit, active, healthy, and to play. Their vision is to build communities where all abilities are provided a universal and equitable opportunity for health, wellness, and recreation. The Ability Center's goals for the future are very ambitious. They include transforming Greater Milwaukee into the most universally inclusive recreation destination in the world. Being personally knowledgeable about the work they do and the commitment of their leaders, I can say without a doubt, anything is possible. Please watch this on-location short film highlighting the Ability Center's leadership and personnel. Congratulations to the Ability Center.
Perfect.
Well, our primary target population is that individual with the disability. But again, like a lot of organizations that serve people with disabilities, it's usually just the individual. And people with disabilities want to play with everybody around them, you know, and play is so important from a social aspect, from an interaction aspect, you know, from making friends. And so what we really do is try to provide opportunities for people with disabilities where they can be, you know, kind of encompassed around. And really what we're doing is sometimes we call it this idea of reverse inclusion, where we're really including the able-bodied public around what the people with disabilities need.
I was a 15-year-old sophomore here in Milwaukee at Marquette High School. I woke up on a Friday morning. It was October 19th of 1979. I had a little backache, nothing that I thought was that big of a deal, and turned out to be a spinal aneurysm. And from that time until now, I've been using a wheelchair. Well, you know, things have improved dramatically since I had my aneurysm, but we still have a long way to go in terms of not just accessibility, but opportunity. And I think what attracted me to the Ability Center was Damian Bookman's passion to make the world a better place for everyone, including people who have physical challenges.
The things that we've created and what I'm most proud of is probably right now our ramp up pillar, which is all about creating these opportunities where people can play in the Milwaukee County parks or really anywhere. And we take an environment that is currently available for the able-bodied public, and we make sure that everybody can participate in that experience. We talk about the difference between access and opportunity, and that's really what kind of the ADA did, the Americans with Disabilities Act did back in 1990, was it created access, but the question really becomes for me and for the Ability Center is did it create an equal opportunity? And in most cases it doesn't. It means you can get in the door, but what can you do once you're there? And so we've added ice skating sleds at Red Arrow Park. I mean, that's all it took. We're talking about $4,000 of equipment before somebody could finally ice skate regardless of their ability. And now nobody had to be excluded. We created that experience at Bradford Beach. As I said, we also created that experience at Veterans Park with Wheel Fun Rentals where, again, you can go bike the lakefront, but before we put hand cycles there, you couldn't if you had a lower extremity disability. There was nothing for you. The reason we envisioned a facility called the Ability Center was because nothing was accessible or time wasn't available or the space wasn't affordable in order for us to run programming. So we decided, well, we're not just going to fold and cancel our mission. We envisioned a 200,000 square foot, fitness and athletic facility that would be universally designed for everybody to use. That's really where this idea of reverse inclusion came from, was I'm going to build a universally designed fitness and athletic center, and we're going to put people with disabilities first, but that doesn't mean the able-bodied people aren't welcome, right? They're going to be included. If a space works for people with disabilities, it works for everybody.
I grew up in the area where the Opportunity Center will be built, and to have something right there in the heart of the community that people can come to, whether it's for athletic things or academic purposes or counseling, career work, whatever it might be, to have that at your disposal, I don't know what words I can use to describe what that will be. And I didn't get that. I had to go elsewhere to get it, but to have it right there in the community now is huge. I think going to do this all on their own. This is going to be a wide range of people throughout the community and throughout the state that are going to be a part of this to make sure that we're talking about qualitative change and quantitative change that's necessary, not only from an institutional standpoint, but in the mindset of the people. I think that we've got to change the narrative and create hope for people, let them know that as difficult as injustice is, there's no rule that says you can't be successful and you can't be a positive citizen. And that's going to take some work, but I think we'll get that done.
Connect the two demographics and everybody to be able to, again, play together in a space that's for everybody, but focused on people who've been the least underserved for decades, blows my mind. And I can't wait to watch that magic and that miracle happen right in our own city, where we become the beacon of hope of what's possible for the entire country. That's going to be awesome.
And now, the Healthcare Healthy Living Award, sponsored by GE Healthcare. Present this year's award.
Good morning.
Welcome, Y Board member Rachel Roller.
Good morning. I'm Rachel Roller, founder of Lane Strategies, a proud YMCA board member and chair of the Wise Healthy Living Committee. On behalf of GE Healthcare, it is my pleasure to introduce the 2022 Healthy Living Award winner. This award honors a nonprofit that addresses the urgent needs associated with health disparities in their work. I'm excited to share that this year's award goes to WellPoint Care Network, formerly St. A. For over 170 years, WellPoint has met the changing needs of our community. The children, individuals, and families in their care have been exposed to various forms of adversity throughout their lives. For many, that exposure results in trauma. WellPoint's focus on trauma-informed care acknowledges the profound effects of trauma on the developing brain and addresses those adverse developments using a proven science-based approach. WellPoint also connects people with resources to address needs that may be a barrier to healing. We all know that COVID-19 has adversely affected children's health. WellPoint is at the forefront of organizations stepping in to help. At this time, please watch this on-location short film which focuses on their important work. Congratulations to WellPoint on being the 2022 GE Healthcare Healthy Living Award winner. Congratulations.
WellPoint Care Network, since its founding 170 years ago, has focused on the well-being of children, specifically children and families. So if someone is experiencing mental health challenge, or a family might be engaged with the child welfare system in our community, WellPoint is here to help. So what we're striving to do as an organization is to connect to the community, to be community-facing in our commitment to serving, to being interested and engaged in the needs and the opinions of people in the community.
In order for healing to happen, it has to happen in everyday interactions. So that means our goal is to have all of the people in our communities, including the citizens themselves, our neighbors, have this information so that we are all part of the same healing journey.
Part of our mission is to help foster self-healing communities, and that means first acknowledge existence of disparity and discrimination within the community. After I've acknowledged it, to ask ourselves, how do we become an advocate? How do we become continued allies and partnering with the community in order to help foster change?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important to us because it relates to the people in our care. For them, they have to feel that we can understand and appreciate who they are, their hopes and dreams, their needs. One of the things that we've used to guide our diversity efforts over the last several years is the notion that when we came to someone's door to help provide support for them, we didn't look like them. And that was really difficult. Understanding the power of that translation into our workforce, our goals, our recruitment and retention has really helped advance our mission and helped the community see WellPoint Care Network as a resource, a place where they might come for care rather than a place they are sent.
So within my role, I have the privilege of overseeing our contract with the Division of Milwaukee Child Protective Services. Within that contract, we have the responsibility for providing services to over 600 families and 1,100 children. We have the opportunity to contract with local minority-owned providers and essentially really kind of give back to the community. We recognize that a lot of the socioeconomic disparities that really impact the community at large rears its ugly head a lot of times in the lives of the families who come into our care. So we have an opportunity to promote what we call a self-healing community by giving back and making sure that we are working closely with some of the community-driven services.
One of the distinguishing things about WellPoint Care Network is our commitment to trauma-informed care. For over a dozen years, we've been advancing the knowledge of neuroscience and early child development to help our community understand the impact of adversity when it occurs in childhood and working to create a network of support and healing for children and families.
And what falls under my purview is training and consulting, particularly to other sectors out there in our community around trauma-informed care, diversity, equity, inclusion, and helping other sectors on their journey of becoming trauma-informed. One of the things that we do through our training and consulting business is that we look at trauma-informed care and we understand that you cannot understand the impact of trauma without understanding the impact of historical trauma, systemic racism, oppression. So we really help people to understand the prevalence of adversity and that for many folks in our community, these other factors are underlying the challenges or struggles that they might be having.
We've been around a long time, and yet our energy, our passion for the future is as bright as it's ever been. Even though we're working our way through the pandemic, there's a commitment to the belief that restoring connections for kids and families is exactly what they need to thrive. That energy, their potential is what helps our community thrive. The future looks really bright.
We have changed our program slightly this year. We're going to ask you to take a moment of silence, reflect on the people that we lost in 2021. Think of those who are no longer with us. We want to honor and remember everyone. We know that the 2021 year marked another year of the pandemic, another year of what social justice and civic engagement means for all. So please take a moment of silence. Today is an exciting event, however, and there's more to come. This afternoon, the 6th Annual Youth Engaged, sponsored by and produced by Kohl's, will showcase a youth talk back on the film Growing Up in Milwaukee. You don't need to see the film before you watch this dynamic expression of the way today's teens feel about what's going on in our community. To watch the video, visit YMCA.org/MLK celebration, where you'll be able to find the link to Kohl's Youth Engage video talkback. And we'll also have the Deliberate Dialogue series sponsored by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino, which will take place Tuesday through Friday on this same virtual format. If you know of others who wish to be a part, please contact a Y staff member to receive additional logins. As we begin to close, I am excited to introduce our final spoken word winner, the high school award recipient, TERRI Elise Mims. TERRI will be followed by a call of action from my fellow YMC, Tina Chang. I want to thank you all for listening to today's presenters and for working today and every day for Dr. King's beloved community. And now, TERRI, followed by a close from Tina.
To Change by TERRI Elise Mims. As a community, we hope for unity, but when given the opportunity, we reject immunity. To change. Because it starts within. It's deeper than skin. A people in continuous sin. But how will we ever win if we never begin to change? This vicious cycle must come to an end. Our broken souls need each other to mend, so that we decrease the funerals that we have to attend, remembering the goal that we intend to change. Let the goodness within pour out. A true journey, let us improvise the route. Hatred has put our souls in a drought, but with love, we will figure out how life is about to change. With no more time to waste, we cannot focus on color, skin, or race. Let the hate in our hearts be replaced with love. Let our lives be based. We must accept, but also choose to embrace this opportunity, giving us grace to change.
Wow, TERRI, you are amazing. Congratulations again. We're almost there. Thank you so much for being with us for this important celebration. Before I go, I want to give a huge thanks to the Y and to you for allowing Greg and me to host this gathering to celebrate Dr. King's legacy. please visit the Schedule tab of the event website to view and sign up for the deliberate dialogue sessions. Let's use the memory of Dr. King to make today a day on and not a day off. And like we've stated for the last couple of years, let today be the start of a year on and not a year off in our fight for justice and racial equality. Like CARRIE Wall touched on earlier, the Y hopes that each of us has equal opportunities to learn, grow, and lead their healthiest lives. And no one person or organization can make that happen alone. We hope that you will join us all week. And don't forget to head over to the virtual exhibition hall to check out all of the event sponsors. In conclusion, here are two key messages from today's event. One, remember that today is a holiday we all need to celebrate, and it is indeed a day on and not a day off. And two, Dr. King's message is alive and well today. Always keep in mind, our goal is to create a beloved community, and to do so, each of us needs to be a change maker, knowing that no change is ever too small. And let me repeat that so you don't have to hit rewind. No change is ever too small. In Dr. King's memory, I wish you all an amazing, reflective, and purposeful day. Thank you.